How's it hanging, YouTube? Mr. Yamamoto here with some Pokemon Black and White Wi-Fi battles for you guys. This is against none other than the famous, world magnificent jdw142, otherwise known as JD, otherwise known as Josh. So let's get right into this UU match. I lead with my Togekiss just because I had no leads on my team and I threw together this team because that's how I roll. And on the very first turn, I was kind of like, maybe he'll think since I led with it, it's Scarfed. But I never run Scarfed Togekiss, and I'm pretty sure he knows that as well as I know that. So I just have to get out of there. I go into my Flygon just to kind of threaten him out, hoping that he'd set up his Toxic Spikes. But he smacks me right in the noggin with a Leaf Storm, and that hurt quite a bit. I basically need to get out of there because I think he's Focus Sashed at this point. So I need to hit him and get out. And right here I was like, well, why would he go for the Leaf Storm again? He'd probably go for the Sludge Bomb since I got the Steel Attack. But it doesn't matter because I get the hacks and that Leaf Storm misses. And that would have helped him out quite a bit. Actually, come to think of it, I don't really think that would have helped him out too much. But you'll find out later. So on this turn, he sets up his spikes as I set up my rocks. And then I think I just finish him off with an Ice Beam. If that is... Yep, my memory's correct right there. That's what happened. So he's got 2 layers of Toxic Spikes up as I got up my rocks. And he goes into his little Hitmontop to spin away my rocks. But I know I really can't do anything. And there's no point in me staying in. And he knows that as well as I do. So he's just going to spin away. And right here I go into my Gligar because this thing walls his team. And I just figured out why... the Gligar got moved up into UU. It fits a lot better. You'd be surprised how much it fits. On this turn, it's kind of funny because we exchanged Toxics. But he was playing really risky because he told me he had no clue if Gligar got Poison Heal or not. But if he did, he would have been in some serious trouble. Because this thing would be a huge wall with... I mean, the only reason it's worse than Gliscor is because it isn't that, like, physically strong. So I knew he'd switch out there. I get up my rocks as his Kingdra comes in, which is a big problem because this Kingdra, if he is the Dragon Dance, that I'm in trouble, which he shows that he is. But I'm like, alright, I outspeed. I'm clearly going to go for the Outrage here, and he knows that I outspeed. So Outrage is so obvious. So he'd go into his Registeel to take that Outrage quite nicely. But I predict this and just go straight for the Earthquake to get this Damaged Chunklet off on him. Damaged Chunklet. I mean, I guess so. That is quite a lot more than a Chunklet. That's a hefty, massive chunk amount. I don't really know where I'm going with this, so I'm going to stop going with that. So basically, I didn't feel the need to switch out. I felt I'd rather play it safe this early in the game. So that is what I do. I go for the second Earthquake, although it was very obvious that this would happen. So I have to get out of there. This Flygon I have to keep alive, basically, because he's my only threat of outspeeding. And right here, I do something really funny. I predict the HP Grass, go into my Togekiss to take it. And this turn, I was thinking, well, maybe he's going to go for another HP Grass, predicting me to predict the Thunder to take it. But he goes for the Roost, which also helps because that is a turn that I'm asleep, that sooner I'll wake up. And now I believe I'm at full health after the lefty's recovery. And I know I can take the Thunderbolt that is coming my way. And I just want this thing alive because now that his Roserade's asleep, I don't need it as sleep fodder to hold Sleep Cause steady. So I take that actually relatively nicely. Basically took 300 damage from that. Go for the Air Slash. I really kind of should have gone for the Roost. But oh well. I hit him with the Air Slash just because I thought I didn't actually... I don't even know why I did that. Probably should have Roosted. Would have made a lot more sense. But now I can go into this thing predicting the Thunderbolt or the Roost. Either one is fine because now I outspeed and I'm going to be able to hit something equally as hard. But he chooses to stay in here, forgetting about the Stone Edge, which hurts him because that Stone Edge tears this thing apart to shreds. This thing doesn't stand a chance. Right here, Zapdos getting hit by a Stone Edge. That did a massive amount, which does cost me my Flygon to another crit, but I mean, of course that crit mattered. My 25 HP would have lived that. So, I have to risk the Speed tie at this point because I have nothing that outspeeds, and my Mew, my OG, is the fastest thing that I have. And when I threw it in there, I was like, cool, We'll be able to synchronize that Toxic to all the other Pokemon. That'd be really cool if that happened. But apparently that doesn't... oh, excuse me. Whoa. But apparently that doesn't work, so I have to get out of there before I die. I go into my Gligar, which walls Victini to death, and he just U-turns out of there, showing that he is the Scarfed Victini, which he always runs. I don't think I've ever seen him run anything besides the Scarfed Victini. So I kind of knew this. And right here I'm like, alright, it's this thing again. I've got one, like, thing that needs to happen right here. So I thought this thing was just going to sweep my team, because I could totally see that happening. He goes for the Dragon Dance here on my Switch. I'm like, alright, maybe he's thinking I'm a nasty plot set. He's going to get greedy and then go for another Dragon Dance. And that is exactly what he happens, and that is really what cost him the game. If he would have not gone greedy and went for that second Dragon Dance and just waterfalled and take me out that turn, this Togekiss would not have been able to troll him as hardcore as it does. So, being this troll Togekiss with the flinch para hacks going on, I kind of felt bad, honestly. I just feel like a tool for doing that, like, straight up. So I go for the Roost, like, no, I feel bad for air slashing all the time and just, like, killing him that way. I don't know, that just makes me feel really dumb. So, but then I go for that, and I was like, alright, he'll get para, it's cool. But he goes for the rest, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't see Leftovers, and I didn't see Life Orb. He's Resto, Chesto, Dragon Dancing, freaking, oh my gosh. And I was like, alright, well, I'm dead. This, +2. There's no way I live a +2, and I live that way too nicely to take a +2 waterfall from a Kingdra. Like, seriously? And at this point, I was like, you know, that flinch hacking doesn't seem as bad anymore, and that's what I'm going to try to do. And obviously, it doesn't work because the first time he breaks through it. And, like, I don't remember who said it, but it's basically hacks if they do get through it, because there's such a high % chance. So I have to go to my OG outspeed. Cost me this thing as well, because that Zen Headbutt didn't do as much as I'd hoped for. And I was going for another kind of flinch hacks there. That didn't matter, but that cost me my Mew. This thing is just so annoying. Like, seriously, I just Ice Beam it, and that is the end of that thing. Oh my gosh, just kidding. It is not the end of that thing. But he gets the para hacks, and it doesn't really matter because I resisted that hit. And I don't think I would have taken too much damage from it. So he goes out into his Hitmontop just to trolls me some more, because that's what his Hitmontop is going to do. And right here in a couple of seconds, I speed up this part an immense amount, because basically it's just this giant dance between Gligar and his Hitmontop and everything, and my Empoleon. Just this giant stall, as you'll see. And then, so, he's talking to me, and he's like, well, if you have the Roost, you win. And I do have the Roost, which means the stall war continues. So Victini comes in, and then comes out, and then comes in, and then comes out, and it just keeps on keeping on going like this. Basically, both are getting Toxic stalled, and doesn't really matter because I've got the Roost. He has no recovery on his Hitmontop because Hitmontop doesn't get recovery. So I sped this up quite a bit, and I kind of wish I would have sped it up even more, because all that happens right here is his Hitmontop dies, and he gets locked into V-Crate as I go in the Gut Grinder. This thing, when it comes out on the field, it wrecks so much face. And he had his Panzer the whole time, which basically just gets destroyed by an earthquake from the Gut Grinder. Yes, I like to say the Gut Grinder, people. You're just gonna have to learn to live with it, because every single battle that this thing's gonna be in, I'm gonna say that. It's true fact. So right here, he just goes for his final stand, going for them Zen Headbutts. And with my luck, I could see something like flinch every Pokemon on my whole entire team, and that would be the loss. I could see that happening. I mean, it's just my luck, really. So that is GG. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my narration as much as I did narrating it. Please leave, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Peace out, YouTube.